paid 260, is now favourite ahead of Lycra. Whisk still at good odds, 280 for Beachside, 505 Rockets Galore, 930 for All Mine, 395 for Weekend Delight. Bavaria, Crony's Hope, all at very good odds. Let's Hurry given a chance at around 20 to 1. Sandhills, Daughter's Charm, a stablemate of Beachside. So Sold given some chance. So there are a few even at very good odds. Wouldn't surprise if they ran very cheeky races in this event. The runners are going into the mounting yard now for the big one, the Argyle Diamond Oaks. It's Group 1.
Dan, yes, the big race of the day coming up here at Flemington on the third day of the carnival, and these 3-year-old fillies look absolutely magnificent as they come into the mounting yard. Prior to this, the classic race for their age and sex. And Graham Kelly, I've gone for number 1 Triscay in this, and the reason being that she was most unlucky in the Wakeful Stakes here on Saturday when she ran third behind Beachside. She was beaten a short half head and a length and a half, loomed up with the leaders at the 200-metre mark after never having been on the track. She's drawn nicely in barrier number 7. She's got Mick Dittman aboard. We saw some of Mick's horsemanship in the previous race, and she does look very well, this chestnut filly Triscay, and she is my selection, showing round about 265 on the Victorian tape, which I think is pretty good value, but by golly, it's a tough race, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is a tough race. I like the odds on offer about number 2 Lycra, Peter. She ran a very good fourth in the Derby here on Saturday. She wasn't knocked around in the race. She was beaten about 3.5 lengths. It was a good run, and she doesn't look to have taken any harm from that. In fact, I'd say, if anything, she's been improved by that outing on Saturday, and I'm expecting her to run a very big race, particularly from barrier number 3.
Another chestnut filly, number 3, Whisk, trained by Graham Begg at Randwick and ridden by Gavin Duffy. Well, this filly ran 5th in the race that Beachside won the other day, and she looked as though she resented racing inside horses. Now, she's drawn barrier 1 today, so that's not going to do her chances too much good. But Gavin Duffy, I'd say, would be trying to haul back maybe to the middle of the field and just get off the rail, look for a position maybe up in the centre of the field throughout the race. She ran on reasonably. She came down the straight a little bit sideways the other day, but the stable does expect her to improve.
Number 4, Beachside, has the champion jockey Michael Clark in the saddle. She stands over plenty of ground. It has plenty of scope about her. She's coming right, just as we heard Colin Hayes say. She won over 1,800 metres at Cheltenham before coming here to win the Wakeful in good style on Saturday. She only just scraped home by a short half head, but she won, and she was finishing determinedly, and Beachside's going to run a bold race.
Rockets Galore beat the Colts in the Herald Sun Bars at Moonee Valley at its last start. That was a pretty good performance, but when you look at it, they ran 2:9.1 that day, and they ran 7 or 8 seconds quicker in the WS Cox Plate. Obviously a different class of race, but that's a big difference. It did beat What a Hit. Prior to that, it run down the track at Caulfield, and prior to that, a winner at Morfordville. But Johnny Marr has turned his horse out in beautiful condition. Rockets Galore, if she runs up with that Moonee Valley performance, she'll be in it.
Number 6, All Mine, with Kenny Russell in the saddle, is at good odds, I feel, in the race. She was only beaten a short half head by Beachside in the Wakeful on Saturday, and yet she's about 2 or 3 times the odds of Beachside going into the race. She's trained by Jack Denham, who of course trains the the number 1 horse in the race, Triscay. I think All Mine will run a bold race.
Number 7, Weekend Delight, trained by Bart Cummings, who had what a great day he did have on Tuesday, with Kingston Rule winning his 8th Melbourne Cup for him. Bart has won the Oaks 5 times. Can Weekend Delight make it number 6? On her previous form, she's going to be a great chance. A winner of the Oaks trial at Geelong 2 runs ago, and then finished 7th at Flemington in the Wakeful Stakes behind Beachside. But they walked in the early stages of that race and sprinted home, and if the race is truly run, Weekend Delight will be much better suited.
Number 8, Bavaria, has Greg Hall in the saddle. She was a top-class 2-year-old, but I feel she's just finding the class of these 3-year-olds a little bit beyond her. She seemed to have every chance, in my opinion, in the Wakeful on Saturday when she finished 6th, and she's bred to be a sprinter miler, so I think she's got the job ahead of her.
Another of John Marr's runners, one of the real outsiders here, number 9, Crony's Hope, finished 9th in the Wakeful behind Beachside, was only beaten 4 lengths, but she would need to improve to take a hand in the finish here.
Number 10, Let's Hurry, is being ridden by Shane Dye, so that will help. She's been a reasonable filly, finishing on in her races. She was 6th in the Carbine Club here on Saturday against the Colts and Geldings. That was quite a good effort. She's stepping up to the 2,500 metres today, so that's a task for her, but there's still a bit of confidence about the chances of Let's Hurry in this race.
You can basically write your own ticket about number 11, Aroma, and looking at her form, it's not surprising. She is simply not up to this class, but for the connections, nice to have a runner in the Oaks.
And number 12, Sandhills, has the Melbourne Cup winning jockey Darren Beedman aboard. As you can see, she's a very nice filly. She's been turned out in excellent style by Vic Thompson. She ran a top-class race when 4th in the Wakeful here on Saturday. She was only about 2 lengths from the winner. It was a good effort. She's drawn wide, though, and that'll make her task that much harder.
13 Daughter's Charm has been racing reasonably well, finishing in the middle of the field and just behind the place getters, but we'll find this pretty hard, I'd say.
Number 14, Tassoli, has Darren Gouchy aboard. She won 2 in the country before finishing 4th in the Oaks trial down at Geelong. That wasn't a bad effort, only 2 lengths behind the winner. She's trained by Ross McDonald and owned by lucky Nick Collins, so that will help.
15 Highlights, around about a 45 to 1 chance on the total. Last start winner at Warwick Farm, and that was its only win or only placing from 7 starts. A bit too hot here.
16 Brighton Dolly was a winner at Geelong over 1,500 metres going back 3 starts, and then 4th in the Oaks trial. That wasn't a bad effort, but she'll find this difficult.
And so will number 17 Twilight Zone, who is round about the 100 to 1 mark on the tote. So there are the 17 3-year-old fillies going to the stalls. Graham Kelly, the last word.
Like her, and I like the way she looks.
And I like Triscay number 1, but it's a very, very tough Oaks Stakes. Dr. Turf has managed to tear himself away from the coat pullers in the ring. What have you come up with?
Pete, she's easy on the tote, she's easy in the ring, but I'm going to stick with Whist. She looks very, very good here in the yard. I know the inside barrier's a slight worry, but I'm going to stick with her. And number 2, Lycra, looks sensational on the yard, Pete. 3 and 2. Danny, what do you like?
I tend to agree with you now, mate. I think Whist and Beachside are the main 2. We'll take a break. We'll come back with a running of the 1990 Argyle Diamond Oaks Stakes. Fillies in this.
Some tremendous fillies. Just looking at Lycra there, Dan, and she's broken out a bit. Paul Hearn was telling me they looked like they were going to have a bit of trouble with Rockets Galore, but they let her in and she went in like a lamb. They were a bit concerned about her barrier manners, but they're very well behaved at the moment, and the jockeys are very nervous. It's a big race. They've got the wind behind them. When they come into the straight, it'll blow them home, and they've got a bit of cover back over near the stripping ship of the Cypress Hedge, but it's going to be a great race. These jockeys are very nervous. It's the biggest, one of the biggest fillies race in Australia now, and very determined boys.
Thanks, Crackers. John Letts. Gee, it's a hard one to pick the winner off, but you think you've got it?
I think I've got it. I think Triscay will win the race. If Mick Dittman can get her to settle early, and we've got the All Mine, who's the stablemate, I think will make the pace. And if they let All Mine get away like they did on Saturday, they only just caught her, and she might run a great race. And as Bob said earlier, she's at terrific odds, All Mine, and if you're looking for a place chance on a roughie, I'd say she was. But Triscay for mine, she looked magnificent in the yard, very settled, and I think Mick Dittman will settle her just off the speed. I think she'll be too classy.
Only a couple to come up now. Tassold and Sandhills with Darren Beedman aboard. Won the Melbourne Cup on Kingston Rule on Tuesday. Tassold about to be lit up. Famous colours. Darren Gouchy aboard. Colours carried by Centauria, Impazira, Tristark. Some great names in racing. Owned by Nick Collum, trained by Ross McDonald. Playing up just a little bit for the moment. And behind her is also Sandhills. A few colour changes here. All Mine is wearing a gold cap to distinguish colours worn by Triscay, and Highlights is wearing a black cap to distinguish colours worn by Whist. Now the field's set to go for the Oaks. Argyle Diamond Oaks of 1990. The lights on. And they're racing. Whisk jumped away nicely over on the inside. Beachside was a bit slow to begin with. Let's Hurry, Sandhills and Tassold. Whisk is in front early. All Mine trying to take her on from Triscay and Crony's Hope with a lap to go. Rockets Galore gets up on the inside to 5th, and then came Aroma around Highlights and Weekend Delight. Followed by Lycra, 2 lengths away, Daughter's Charm, Let's Hurry, Brighton Dolly, Bavaria, Beachside, Sandhills, Twilight Zone, and 3 lengths away to Sold last of all. 2,000 metres left to go, and as she did on Saturday, All Mine leads. She's a length and a half clear of the stablemate, pulling a little bit Triscay. Going around her, Aroma, followed by Crony's Hope and Whisked over on the inside. They were followed by Highlights, and down on the fence, Daughter's Charm from Rockets Galore, Lycra inside of Weekend Delight. A length and a half to Let's Hurry, Brighton Dolly. One away back on the inside, Beachside, Bavaria around it. 2 lengths further back than a Sandhills and Twilight Zone, and about 4 lengths away to Sold. And she would be 15 lengths off the leader, All Mine. 1,600 metres to go on the Oaks. All Mine led by a length and a quarter. Aroma second, Triscay now with the run of the race third. Then Crony's Hope and Whisked over on the inside, followed by the stablemate Highlights. A length away, Daughter's Charm, Rockets Galore, then Lycra, Weekend Delight. Over on the inside, Let's Hurry, then Brighton Dolly. A length away, Beachside, Bavaria, 2 to Sandhills and Twilight Zone. And 1.5 lengths away to Sold last of all, 12 to 15 lengths off the lead. 1,200 metres left to travel in the Oaks. And All Mine in front, led by a length and a quarter. Second, Aroma Triske's had a beautiful run. Third, the Inside. A length away, Crony's Hope. A length back to Whisk, who settled much better today. Highlights around her. A length further back to Lycra, trying to go forward. Outside of her, Rockets Galore, then Weekend Delight. Let's Hurry, Brighton Dolly. Beachside trying to sneak up on the inside, then Bavaria under pressure. A length and a half to Sandhills, Twilight Zone, and last of all to Soul. They're bunching up on the Oaks, 700 metres to go. All Mine led a half a length to Aroma. A length and a half away. Third was Triscay. They were followed by Crony's Hope under pressure. Here come the challengers around the outside. Highlights with Weekend Delight. Down on the inside, Whisk has got nowhere to go. Lycra getting a run through the middle of the field, and then Beachside very wide. Around the turn, 500 metres to go. All Mine straighten up in front of Crony's Hope and Aroma. They were followed by Triscay. Whiskers getting up on the inside. Wide around Weekend Delight, surging home with highlights. Let's Hurry, Rockets Galore. 300 metres to go, and Weekend Delight hit the front of the Oaks, but Whiskers got up on the rail. Weekend Delight in front. Whisk getting right up on the fence. Weekend Delight a length and a half in front. Whisk trying to go through. Weekend Delight in front. Whiskers trying hard. Weekend Delight in front. Whisk won't get her in. Weekend Delight wins the Oaks. A length and a half to Whisk, and third Triscay. Then Let's Hurry, Rockets Galore. Close up on the inside was Beachside, All Mine. They were followed in by Highlights, and then Lycra, Crony's Hope, and to Soul. Behind them, Daughters Charm, Aroma, Bavaria. Brighton Dolly well back in the field with Sandhills, and Twilight Zone was the last one in the 1990 Argyle Diamond Oaks. Number 7, Weekend Delight, and let's see, another big winner for Bart Cummings, and what is going to be remembered virtually as his week, despite David Hayes winning Derby Day. Cup Day and Oaks Day have belonged to the Magic Man, 8-time Melbourne Cup winner Bart Cummings.
Well, what a great way she went to the line too, Dan, and Jimmy Cassidy, a fantastic ride, Jim Cassidy. But did you see the ride of Mick Detman and also the ride of Gavin Duffy? Both beautifully, third and fourth on the fence all the way. If they were good enough, they would have won the race and beaten Weekend Delight, but it was just a better horse on the way. She had to cover a little ground around the corner when she's moved up on the outside, but the other two favourites, which was Triscay and Whisk, got runs on the fence, never covered an inch of ground, went through, looked like, well actually here, Whisk looked like going through and straight to the lead then at the tower, but Weekend Delight was holding her on the line, and JB Cummings, gee, when they get out over a bit of distance with horses that, you know, they say can't stay, but the JB Cummings magic, they could run 10 mile, these horses, couldn't they?
Indeed, and Jim Cassidy made sure she got to the post. Let's talk to the 8-time Melbourne Cup winner, another Oaks winner to Bart Cummings.
Yes, another one. It's number 6 for Bart Cummings. Well, Bart, as he accepts the congratulations of all concerned, it's been a fair sort of a week for you.
Well, it started off pretty slowly, but it's coming pretty good lately anyway. It's a nice win today, and it's good to win it. It's a very happy syndicate over there.
Yeah, they certainly are. Jimmy Cassidy has had almost as much success in this race as you have now. I think he's ridden about 4 of the last 5 or something.
Yeah, I got one up in him, I think. I started a lot earlier, though.
But it was such an even field. Did you really rate her a top chance amongst the likes of Triscay and Whisk?
Well, she came into it late in the season. She's obviously bred to stay, and I thought her winning the Geelong Oaks was very good, and after seeing that I thought she'd have a great chance of winning this. She's unlucky, didn't get a run in the slowly run Wakefield Stakes on Saturday, but today she had plenty of room. They spread right out, and she was just too good for them.
Yeah, it certainly helped her that it was a truly run race today.
Well, that's what you like to see, and here at Flemington, when they run along like that, you get true racing. It's great to watch, and usually the best horse wins.
Well, Bart, you stood in the winner's circle on Cup Day. Go and do it again on Oaks Day. Well done.
Thank you.
Bart Cummings with his 6th Oaks victory here in the Argyle Diamond Oaks Stakes with Weekend Delight.
Fabulous ride, Jim Cassidy. Congratulations to all the staff again with Bart Cummings, Jim Cassidy. Great team effort. She's improved from being an ordinary horse, Weekend Delight, earlier on in the year, to being the best staying filly in Australia. Weekend Delight comes back after winning the Oaks. We'll come back with all the details and the presentations and much more on Oaks Day.
It's 4 rides in the Oaks. It's pretty good.
Yeah, good record, Graham. Like Oaks Day's always been a big day since I've been coming to Melbourne, so I was relaxed coming to the races today, and I knew I had a good chance. She was very unlucky in the Wakefield, so I knew that she'd run the trip. All I was worried about that it was going to be a truly run race, and things sort of went pretty well, much to plan.
Yes, and you had a nice run in the race, didn't you?
I did. The main thing was sort of not getting trapped wide, being 3 deep, which has sort of happened in a few of the races over the carnival, but that was the main thing, not sort of getting trapped wide and just having a nice run.
And then when you got her out about the 400 metres and start to move up at the 300, she gave you plenty.
Yeah, well, Lycra sort of made me take off when I did because she punched up on the inside, and at that stage I either had to elect to go forward or sit back, and had I sat I was going to be 4 deep, so I thought I'm better off going forward than being 4 deep. They've got to come from behind me to beat me then.
Now, when you were coming at them fast at the clock tower, Whisk was going through inside you. Did you feel very worried or concerned at that stage?
Well, I knew she was fit. She ran out the Geelong Oaks trial there, which I didn't ride her on, but I looked at the videos, and she was entitled to get beat 3 or 4 times in the race on that occasion, and she showed me just on the videos that she'd really run the 2500 ride out, so I sort of tried to ride her accordingly.
And made up for missing out on the Melbourne Cup ride to some degree, Jim.
Oh, well, they run every year. There's another one next year.
Right. Congratulations, Jim, and great ride, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Graham.
Great jockey. Jim Cassidy, well done. 7-3-1 on the Argyle Diamond Oaks. 7 the winner, Weekend Delight. Whisk second, Triscay third. That's the winning filly. Weekend Delight, who had won one race prior to today, and that was the Oaks trial. Let's have a look at the Australian dividends after the Oaks.
And on the WATAB, Weekend Delight returned $4.50 to win, $1.40 the place, capping a big week for Bart Cummings. Second, 3 Whisk, $1.30, and third, number 1 Triscay, 75 cents. She started favourite. Prunella 3 and 7, $26.
And told to kick on.
Kevin, how was the run?
Oh, it's a good run.
What about your mount?
Yeah, terrific run. She's just not strong enough the last furlong.
Mick Triscay?
Oh, nearly every chance, I'd say.
Shane, how was your run, mate?
Yeah, very good run. A little unlucky.
Stephen, a little bit unlucky you felt?
Yeah, the tempo really didn't suit her. She raced at perfection, just a bit keen, and I sort of let her down. When they sprinted, I sort of couldn't go with them.
Thanks, Steve. Peter, what about your mount?
Oh, I had into trouble the whole way, getting knocked down about 3 or 4 times, had no luck whatsoever. Very good run considering.
Thanks, Peter. Larry?
Every chance, yeah. So I had a nice run throughout. I was running fourth most of the way, but just found a little bit strong. They were a bit strong for the last furlong.
Darren, never in it?
No, never. It was a slow run race, and I had to get it back.
It doesn't really matter where they've drawn, but it will be interesting to see who will lead. I think Redelva might end up in front unless Manitou tries to take him on early. Redelva is the favourite at 105, Elcos second pick 195, third pick Stargazer 330, and Rechabite at $3.75. Redelva won this race 2 years ago. He ran second to Boardwalk Angel last year, one of the most popular sprinters in Australia. He runs second in the Gadsden on Saturday, and he's probably the favourite not just in the betting ring but also in the hearts of many, many people out here, Peter.
He is indeed, Dan, and a lot of eyes on Redelva here in race number 6, the Linlithgow Stakes, which has been won by some great horses over the years. And Graham, they normally have a habit of running pretty fast time in this too.
Yes, generally, although there's nearly always a small field, there's generally a front runner and a fast pace, and they do go from the moment they get out of the barriers.
Well, Redelva number 1 here. Dan has already mentioned some of its past performances, and the more recent ones. Well, it's been second at its last 3 runs in the Rupert Steele behind Joanne, then second in the Moir Stakes at Moonee Valley behind With Me, beaten 4 lengths that day but was working home well, and then hit the front and looked all over a winner here in the Gadsden Stakes on Saturday, but was collared by Planet Ruler, with the Hayes horse putting in a fantastic sprint in the last 100 metres. Redelva, look at him, he's a fit racehorse, he's a big horse, he won't have any worries with the 58 kilos here at the weight for age, and I've gone for Redelva, and I think he's possibly the best for the day.
I've gone for number 2, Alquoz, with Michael Clark aboard, and I'm due to break a run of outs, Peter. Alquoz scored a magnificent win in the Theo Marks quality at Rose Hill early in September. He ran the 1,300 metres that day in a course record 1:15.8, beat Show County, came with a whirlwind finish. He then failed in the George Main and the Epsom Handicap, but after that David Hayes decided that Alquoz is a horse that raced best fresh. He's fresh today, as you can see, going onto the track. He looks magnificent, and there's a little kick for, I think it was, there's a couple of kicks, so he's feeling very well.
Well, he won't want the other horses near him, and for supporters of Alquoz, well, I hope they're not near him at the end of the race. Number 3, Beau George, Greg Hall is the rider. I remember this horse has been fancied in some of the big sprints here at Flemington. It won the Goodwood Handicap going back to the 19th of May, then was turned out, went up to Eagle Farm for the Stradbroke and finished down the track, and its next appearance was last Saturday, so its races have been very well spaced, Beau George. It'll be fitter for the hit out in the Gadsden behind Planet Ruler, finishing 6.5 lengths from the winner, about a 14-to-1 chance, but I find it hard to see Beau George beating the top 2.
Yes, I think that applies too to number 4, Gypsy Rogue. He ran a good race when third in the Gadsden here on Saturday behind Planet Ruler. As you can see, he doesn't seem to have taken any harm from that race. He looks quite well. He'll handle the 1,400 metres all right, and he could well be the one that'll set the pace in this.
Rechabite likes Flemington number 5, but he can be a little bit hard to follow. He finished second in the Bobby Lewis here on the 8th of September, and then he ran down the track in the Showday Cup, and he was in the middle of the field in the Gadsden, beaten over 7 lengths by the winner. He'd need to improve, but he's only about a 7-to-1 chance on the tote. He looks exceptionally well, and Darren Gauci is the rider.
Number six Stargazer has Mick Dittman in the saddle. He's a much maligned racehorse. Oh, there we see Manitou, just rider Simon Marshall now back to Stargazer. He's a much maligned racehorse. He does tend to fail when you expect him to put his best foot forward, but he looks well, and if he decides to do his best today, Stargazer's got to be a chance in the race.
And Manitou just leaving the mounting enclosure now with Simon Marshall in the saddle, the last of the 7. He's a 3-year-old. He's pretty smart. Comes in nicely at the weights, of course, under the weight for age with 51 kilos, but he's meeting some very smart sprinters here. And there we see Manitou going out. He is bandaged up front, and he's the outsider of the field, and I think probably that is quite justified. So I like Redelva. Graham likes Alquoz. I know, Dr. Turf, you like Alquoz as well.
I do, Peter, and he looks fantastic in the yard. Looks very fit, and on his best overseas form and on his win in the the main stakes, he will win this one, Alquoz. Redelva, the only other chance, and if anything else wins, Pete, I'll have another haircut. Danny?
Thanks, Doctor. Yeah, big chance, Alquoz. He really will be in Redelva. Be interesting in the betting ring, because I feel there would be a bit of money about for Alquoz. He goes brilliant fresh, and Bobby Moormill can update us with that.
Thanks, Dan. Yes, down here in the betting ring, it's been a duel for favouritism between Alquoz and Redelva. Right now, though, the champion from the Western Districts, ridden by that great rider who lives in the next town from me. I live in Colac, he lives in Camperdown, and I'm referring, of course, to the great Neville Wilson. He'll be riding Redelva, the champion. He has now wrested favouritism from Alquoz. There's not much between them. There seem to be an awful lot of people from Sydney that were impressed by the win of Alquoz up there, and they want to put their money on him. But punters in Victoria have rallied to the big chestnut champion Redelva, and he's the one that I'm sticking to. And right now he's going to run favourite, Dan.
Bobby, any money to support Stargazer's track work? They told me he's been working brilliantly, the best track work so far at the carnival. Have they backed that up?
Dan, they've kept Stargazer safe, but really the only two that there's been any money at all for are Redelva and Alquoz. Stargazer has been kept reasonably safe, but he's at very, very generous odds all the same. The punters have gone for a betting duel, 2 camps, the Redelva camp, the chestnut champion, and the other camp, Alquoz, David Hayes stable. They're the two that have dominated betting, and in the duel for favouritism, the one that I like, Redelva, the champ, has come out on top with Alquoz second favourite.
I was going to say, I thought you might have backed him.
Well, Neville Wilson, and I've never seen Redelva in all my time in Victoria. I have never seen Redelva run a bad race. He's right up to this class. To me, seems to be a cut above him on his day. And I know Alquoz is capable of great things when he fires, but he's put in 2 bodgies, hasn't he? And he'll need to be on his very best to beat a champ like Redelva with nifty Neville Wilson in the saddle. So I'm going to stick to the champ from out Mount Gambier way with my local jockey on him.
He's a real racehorse. Thanks, Bob. Crackers Keenan's out at the barriers. Crackers, some marvellous sprinters here. Redelva passed the magical $1 million mark by running second in the Gadsden Saturday. Will he go a little bit further and add another 97,500 to his kick?
Well, he looks a treat, actually, Dan, and I'd just like to send a cheerio to Sheik, I'm just trying to find his name, Sheik Hamden bin Rashad Al Martu. His horse looks well too. But, they're great sprinters in this field. And Bo George, the Adelaide horse, David Belper trained, and, you know, they're going to go very, very fast. It'll be a great race. But I just looked at old Redelva with nifty Neville Wilson, the great Collingwood supporter. He's travelled well, and, you couldn't fault his condition. I'm a bit like Bob Moormill. I like the way he gallops. He's got a lot of heart. He just puts it in. Very quick away from the barrier. The 1400 metre, you're going to be a little bit striped because you've got the wind really blowing up over here now, and it's going to be a very hard race for the first 200 metres.
Let's have a look at the top.
And today I think he could nearly jump to the lead and jump to the front and lead all the way, but he looked magnificent, and Greg Barco's got him going very well, this horse. Never runs a bad race, and, you know, he's the one they all want, and he's the one that I'd like to be on.
The 2 favourites, the only 2 out from the stalls, John, Alquoz and Redelva. Redelva's drawn 6, Alquoz has drawn 7. There's nifty Neville Wilson bringing this immaculate animal up to the gates. Big chestnut, lot to like about him, with a big white star on his forehead. Redelva having his 40th start today. He's 7 years old, 16 wins from 39 starts, $1 million in prize money. And the field is set to go. One a bit toey. And they're set, and they're off and racing in the Linlithgow Stakes. Alquaz a bit slow to begin. Beau George missed it ever so slightly over on the inside. And already the big chestnut is looking for the lead, Redelva. He crosses over after 200 metres and leads from Rechabite and the Grey Gypsy Rogue. Manitou to fourth, a length and a half to Stargazer, Beau George, and last of all, Alquaz about 8 off the lead. 1,000 metres to go. Redelva the favourite in front by 2 lengths. Gypsy Rogue second, a length away Rechabite, 1 to Manitou, 1.5 Beau George, Stargazer, a length and a half to Alquaz, about 6 to 8 lengths off Redelva. About 850 metres to go. Redelva second in this race last year, and he won it 2 years ago. He leads by a length and 3/4 to Gypsy Rogue, and Rechabite's had a nice sit third the rail. 1.5 to the 3-year-old Manitou, a length and a half to Stargazer, Beau George, and Alquaz last of all, but about to be hooked out as Didman takes off on Stargazer. 500 metres to go around the turn. Redelva in front, sitting pretty for Wilson. A length and a quarter clear of Rechabite, Gypsy Rogue, Manitou. Here's Stargazer deep. Alquaz making a run out wide, and then came Beau George. Inside the 400, Redelva snuck away from Rechabite. Led by 2, then Manitou. Alquaz down the outside, I think, is going to be the challenger to Redelva. 250 metres to go. Redelva a length and a half in front. Alquaz is closing. Then Beau George up on the inside. Redelva in front. Alquaz laying in a little bit. Might cost him the race at will. Redelva in front. Alquaz won't get him. And the champ wins, Redelva. By a length, Alquaz through the race away, the second horse. Then Beau George and Rechabite, Stargazer, Manitou, and a long break to Gypsy Rogue. He's done it, Redelva, perhaps. Alquaz was going to get a little bit closer to him, John, but that's the difference between good, gutsy horses. They know how to race, and Alquaz didn't quite know how to do it today. He laid in for Michael Clark, gave him a torrid ride, but Redelva kept going straight, and the 7-year-old wins again.
Well, once Redelva jumped to the lead, I thought it was just a matter of how far. If you'd backed him, you could go and run and jump in the queue, because he's one of those horses, I think, Dan, he can run terrific time when he's left alone in front. He's gone 123 on this track today, and I've always said that Redelva around Flemington will run 122 over 1,400 metres. But you can see him here, Dan, coming down the straight. Alquaz is just getting his head on the side there. Redelva's shifting out a little bit up the track, but not enough to make any difference, I wouldn't think. Here's Alquaz. He hasn't had to change course very much, although Redelva, he's straightened up.
Not at this point. Redelva probably shifted out, really, didn't he? But Alquaz didn't look like he was going straight earlier on in the home stretch. Redelva getting out underneath him. But and look at Beau George getting up right up along the inside. Yes. Redelva was always holding them, but at the 200, Alquaz did look the biggest danger to him.
He looked the biggest danger. But when you've got a horse like Redelva that's got a big heart, and here we have him in front, and he's just ready going past the 400 metres. When they'd left him alone so long, you don't leave horses like Redelva alone in front to make their own pace. And here they come from the back, but they were never going to get him, Dan.
No, he was always 2 in front. Had Rechabite covered. Beau George was making a late sprint up on the inside. And Alquaz really all the way up the straight looked the only possible danger to him. You can see Alquaz there. The horse is racing with his head on the side. Redelva's going straight. Yeah. Alquaz looks like he's shifting in a little bit. Redelva, of course, is also coming out. And Mick Clark almost had to check him. But the horse didn't sort of go on with there. He's pulled the whip.
Pulled the whip on him, yeah.
And just wasn't quite good enough, but it was a good run by the second horse.
Second horse went on around to edge in the first over last on the lead.
Michael Clark, who rode Alquaz, protesting against the...
No, I'm inclined to agree with you.
All right, now here's the head-on. There's Redelva in the gold colours. You can see it running away badly from the rail there. And it has certainly inconvenienced Alquaz. Michael Clark had to stop riding, and then he pulled the stick again. So that is very interesting. Now, the interference is over the last 200 metres, and that was Michael Clark's words to Pat Lawler when he hopped off the scale. So it is very interesting. As I say, wasn't a lot of reaction from the connections of either stable. They were in the steward's room for probably about 10 minutes or so, taking a look at the side on film, and then the head on film, undoubtedly. They went back in, and they were only in there for a matter of probably 15 seconds.
Roach get in front. Fire Roach is kicking back on the inside. The Sydney horses. Amazing Fire Roach. What a way to break the Amazing State of Sydney.